The splay playlist page is a place to build a show from all your dynamic cues, static scenes, effects, and events by setting specific fade times, brightnesses, and looping characteristics. After this, you can use triggers, interfaces, and schedules to control this part of your installation or live show. Timelines can be made to either be shows in their own right, or simply fire internal triggers with no lighting data at all, almost acting like a command converter or an internal macro to make various systems talk to each other. We're going to start by creating a playlist for an ambient lighting state within a venue that starts on splay PowerUp. We've already created a static scene, dynamic recording, and effect for this. We're going to combine them together in this playlist and set an infinite loop. You can filter by type in the headings, search, or scroll to find each before dragging them onto the timeline. Drag and drop each of them into position. We'll set the effect and static cue lengths, or adjusting its values by selecting it and then using the box above. In this use case, we're going to make sure everything's the same length, and set a global fade in and out time for the playlist, meaning it won't be applied each time the playlist loops. Instead, it'll fade in, multiple loops can happen, and then after this, it can fade out. As we want the playlist to be visible on the home page, we won't select hide from home. We'll also leave the group as 0. We'll also define the start trigger as on PowerUp. When we're happy with it, we'll press save. It's worth looking at the priority group's information inside playback settings. There's a video for this linked in the description. This will give you all the information you need to play back one playlist at a time in the splay priority group. We can see the playlist is now included in the playlist bar at the top of the screen and can be played, paused, and stopped at any point. If we skip forward, I've created a second playlist for the evening to give a slightly different look. Next, we'll build on this and treat it like an installation in a hospitality venue. Let's say that the owners of the venue are requesting that if the fire alarm sounds, the volume of any music in the space must fade out, the projectors in the venue are turned off so they don't shine in anyone's eyes as they evacuate, and a known DALI lighting state is recalled using a third-party DALI master controller that receives a trigger from the splay's relay output. And finally, an emergency lighting state needs to be recalled on the splay. After it's stopped, everything must return back to a known state. Now with the splay, it's easy. It's fairly common for fire alarm systems to feature a relay trigger that changes state on the alarm being set off. The splay can interface with normally open or normally closed relay contacts. First, we'll produce the lighting playlist. Now this is quite simple. We'll drag in a static lighting state and set it to have an infinite loop. Following that, we'll define the fade in and fade out times as we did before to make it less sudden when triggered. We'll note down the playlist ID to use with the splay's OSC API when triggering events later. We'll make sure this playlist has the highest priority so it overrides all other outputs when activated, and then returns to whatever else is playing when it stops. Finally, we'll give it a name. After this, we'll create a new playlist called Emergency. This will be a macro style of playlist and won't contain any lighting control data. We're going to interface with a digital audio processor using UDP. I've already got this defined as an event. I'll drag it onto the event track in the timeline. This will recall the state of the audio control system. You can also do the same with triggers. The difference between triggers and events is that an event sends a command and a trigger is waiting to receive one. If using triggers, the timeline will pause until that trigger condition is met. For this scenario, we don't need to use triggers, so we'll carry on. Next, we'll insert an RS-232 event. The RS-232 output of the splay can be fed into an inexpensive RS-232 amplifier to send the same command to multiple projectors on our installation. We'll also add a relay event that will trigger the DALI controller wired to the rear of the splay, usually used to turn lights on and off. Finally, I've got a loopback event using that OSC API we spoke about earlier. Now this will trigger our emergency lighting playlist. You can find out how to create triggers alongside using the splay's OSC API in other ENTTEC tech tips splay videos. I've also set it to play once. Now when the fire alarm relay closes, it's going to play this trigger playlist, which will in turn play back our lighting state and send the relevant commands to the rest of the system. If you have particularly poor network connection between your S-Plane devices, so you're using a wireless connection, you could even use the loop function to send commands multiple times to ensure the correct state is received. We can create a duplicate of this playlist that sends similar commands to return everything back to the same state. We hope this has been helpful. If you've got any questions, let us know in the comments below or get in touch with the team at enttec.com. Thanks for watching.